Just because I sing in few calypso. All kind of wrong things about me people know. First they know some walking to one driving. Rumors all over about me they spreading. But I want them know that I'm conscious is Josh and bread. And no way hypocrites like them could ever frustrate my head. So to all those who like woman, hearing more to say about teller. Cause it's me who kill Bishop and mash everything up. Die on the treasury, I'm anti for the money. So look at me. Sky me down, cause I like it, sky me down. Sky me down, oh God, it's some sweet, sky me down. Sky me down, all them hypocrite, sky me down. Sky me down, tell them. Good. Cost of living here keep rising daily. Unemployment rampant in this country. Prostitution is a priority. Up to now that them bullets can see. But of course they come out to distract me with their cheap lyrics. Man, even my children mother too, they make fault for it. Because she too, she lambaste me, telling everyone I'm nasty. Cause me that is profit, and with them with the cow shit. Man, me that is prison, and Alex is them wicked man. So don't you hear me, cry me down. Because I like it, cry me down. All them hypocrite, cry me down. Oh God, it sounds sweet, cry me down. Politician here keep writing and playing, while taxpayers' money goes down the drain. Agriculture gone so low, it's a shame. AIDS and drugs flowing down here like rain. But a humble guy like me who fighting for a living, them bypassing that and on my back they keep on stabbing. Cause they see me as Judas, what they should know for them last. You see I don't monkey, jumping from party to party. Give me all of them good for man to sell out Grenada. So look at me, cry me down. Because I like it. Oh God, it sounds sweet. All day hypocrite, cry me down. Cry me down, tell them. Oh God, oh God. As some kids them Indian come walking rum. Now they own Grenville and half a tongue. We hospital condition out of bung. To be in the hell gates you going down. Yet we doctors and nurses have to work with such condition. We don't have equipment for a simple operation. You see what's on can't take over. So all you sit down and can tell her I is those minister that every day buying new car. But them still going on TV. They tell me they love the country. So look at me, cry me down. Because I like it.
You make your children, you don't make them man. You will send them to school to learn, to gain education. They will follow bad company.
Do good to those who do good to you, and God will follow you all the days of your life. We respect each other.
You will make them happy, give them everything they want. And behind your back, they will try to take your life, but never damn the bridge that you cross on. When you was at the gun, remember I will pick you up. Ungratefulness would never done. Ungratefulness would never done. Some ungrateful people, they always are wrong. Ungratefulness would never done. Ungratefulness would never done. Some ungrateful people, they always are wrong.
Remember, not man as sharing bread is jar. Share bread. Remember, I help you to the end.
Who want to honest as they will do to you? Do good and God will follow you. All the years that you live, what is where you must be. Don't let no one tell you no. What you reap is what you sow. Far brighter tomorrow. Ungratefulness would never done. Ungratefulness would never done. Some ungrateful people.
Good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name is Sheldon Scott. I'll be here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. Well, just before the 10 o'clock hour. You know, sometimes on Thursdays I have to dive out a little earlier than normal. But try to give you that time back on a Fridays, huh? Saying a very special good night to each and every one of you joining us on the live tonight. We say a special good night to those of you listening in Carriacou via 92.9 FM. Those of you also listening via 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn. Hope you all are having a very, very, very special night. Yeah, I know it's the night after Valentine's, huh? Just making sure I give you all the time to jump on into the live. Folks, remember to like and share. Remember to like and share. Yeah.
Know that you're reaching the final. Do not get sweated at all. And
as of a few moments ago, we are now at 3,000 subscribers. Let's get it to 4,000, huh? Yes, I'm greedy.
So spiritual.
Yes, we're now up to 3,000 subscribers. And that's due to the excellent job that you all have been doing in ensuring that you encourage folks to join in on the program, yeah? More and more people I meet, and it's not me, it's you all are the ones who have been spreading the word about the program and telling people about the program, and they have been tuning in. So, excellent job, yeah. So we're now at 3,000 subscribers.
Cause every word that the prophet had prophesied.
Folks, remember to like and share. Like and share the live.
If you walk up and sweat in my vineyard, by your sweat you shall eat your bread. And once you satisfy all the criteria, we gon' put a crown on your head. For the same song again, a spiritual song again, the same song again, a lyrical song again, singing the same song again.
Yes, and we've got to go over quite a bit of information tonight once again, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some folks so worried about last night's program, yeah.
Never forget where you come from. Don't think you're better than no one. I'm giving you the same kind of hand.
Let me just say to the person that sent, I don't know why I placed my letter, the PW, yes, whoever sent it back, yeah, please.
Just rise them up from total destruction.
Rise them up
from illiteracy.
Rise them up join some kind of program. Go to university. SU offers you a master's or a bachelor's and associate degree. Discover your talent, there must be some hidden ability. You see the preparation you make today will go a long, long way tomorrow. The little education you grab, I pray, will help to wipe away your sorrow.
Right, so let's say good night to those of you joining us on the YouTube. And let me see who is on the YouTube already. I see Ashma, Vanessa. Good night to you, Vanessa Lalji. And Anne-Marie Celestine Grant. Good night. And Marie, I have a joke for you, girl. Anyway, Jessie Sherry, good night. Maud Martin, Carib Spice, good night to you. Matthew Boyne, good night to you out there in Brooklyn. Shanron Thomas. Jackie Raymond, Gavin Thomas, Elvin Norrie, Shrajan John, Baby Daddy, Janice Mitchell, Errol Bonaparte, Velma Pascal, Gloria Francois, Dennis Sandy, Sherma Jeremiah, you and Zayla, good night. Clive Raymond, Alban Harris, my brother, Miriam Samuel, Kathleen Ledlow, Agnes Henry, Christine Otley, Adrian Watts, you and your lovely wife, Antonito, good night, bro. Phyllis Mitchell, Jenny Samuel, Good Life, Public Notice, Claude Abraham, Anna Andrews, Alcy Peters, and let me see, Stephanie John, good night to you. Herbert Norrie, I think that's a different Norrie, right? Herbert, good night to you. Dennis Fabio, good night. And Jack Kitman, good night. Dolores Redhead, Gemma Warwood, Joycelyn, Cindy Thomas, Claire Superville, and let me see, Kathleen Knights, Erica, Elrica, Antoine, Oswald Belfont, Wendy Telesford, Lisha Abraham, Jay Sky, yeah, all of you, Karen William Sherms, I see you inside, Michelle Alexander, Amanda Jeremiah, good Derek, good night to you, Eliza Bernard, Maria Noel, Devin James, good night. Yeah, so special good night to each and every one of you under the live on the YouTube. And let me see who's on the Facebook. Edlin David, I see you. Wallan Akwat, Margaret Felix, Grenada Interior Designs, good night to you. And let me see, I see Junior George, good night. Yeah, folks, no, not that Junior George. This is our Junior George, nice. Charmaine Ragba Singh, Maudlin Bartholomew, good night. Lorna Allen, Glenda Robinson, I see you there. Ashley Lewis, Maria Ramsey, Kenrick Gibbs, what's up, little bro? Ingrid Nelson, Cicely Celestine, Latoya Maguire. Well, girl, you and this chocolate and this. Anyway, Latoya, Sunny Isle, Dylan Pierre, Louisa Williams, good night. Enid Decoto, they love me. Okay, yeah, well, we love you. Yes, we do love you. Good night to you. Shemi, good night to you, and good night to Kada. She'll get this later. Yvonne Courtney, Shirley Lacrette, Martin Charles, Noah Ludlow, Kingsley Paul, Jill Williams, let me see, Davis Charles, good night to you, John Mark, McLean Mitchell, Teresa Gill, Ruth Chitterman, Claude Abraham, Monique Phillip, Evadne Dawson. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that's the end of that list. Well, no, some other people coming in on the end. Meryl, good night to you, Meryl. Good night to you, Teresa Buddy, Nelsia Charles, Catty Pop, good night. Winnie Simon, Edlin David Wallan Akwat, good night to you. All right, yeah, okay, good night to everybody. All right, good night to everybody. Nice? Yeah, so we're gonna start it in a short while. Okay, thank you. I got it.
Everybody knows that many heroes has lived and died among us, but it's only after they dead and gone they seem to get some recognition. But while some of them live, they suffer and grieve for basic necessities, and then to add more insult to injuries, they crying long tears for the disease. But not to study them when you hear they opening up their mouth, no. When Harry was alive, a rose fruit was his only growth. But on the day he passed away, so many nice things did he say. I had to wonder if it's the same person they was talking about. I don't want to happy hour, don't like candles on my head. No, no, give me flowers before I dead. No crack
Yes, indeed, folks. So last night we did mention to you that the oil slick outside of Tobago, that it has now crossed over into Grenadian waters. I didn't see an update. There is an update on it, but I haven't pulled that up yet. But there is an update in relation to it. But finally, NADMA has decided this afternoon to release a statement in relation to it. And let me just pull the NADMA statement up there for you so you all can see what was said. Nice? Yeah. You know, we like to make sure that you have the information. You may not be on a mailing list. You may not get it. So we like to make sure that you get the information. So the National Disaster Management Agency, they have sent out their second release in relation to the oil slick, right? And it says NADMA is carefully monitoring the oil slick off Tobago. Or as they put it, NADMA carefully monitors oil slick off Tobago. And they say the public is hereby notified through contact with the Office of the Disaster Preparedness and Management, ODPM, in Trinidad and Tobago. There has been an incident that resulted in an oil spill on February 7th, that's Independence Day, off the shores of Tobago. The government of Grenada has taken steps to ensure the public is reliably informed. Yeah, right? Yeah, and then last night it crossed into the waters and all they talking to us the day after, the evening after. Anyway, the government of Grenada has taken steps to ensure the public is reliably informed and the appropriate actions taken to protect its shores. Consequently, the government is currently in contact with the government of Trinidad and Tobago through their Ministry of Foreign Affairs to ascertain the extent to which the oil slick is likely to affect Grenada. So they are admitting that there is a likelihood that this oil slick can affect Grenada. Yeah? They didn't say they're talking to them to try and offer them help because it ain't going to affect Grenada. They say they trying to ascertain the extent to which the oil slick is likely to affect Grenada. So you have to understand the language that they're using there. In the meantime, the National Disaster Management Agency has evoked the tenets of its oil spill hazard specific protocol and has contacted the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, SEDEMA, as well as other local and regional partners to assist as a precautionary measure pending official reports. Additionally, on Thursday, 15th February 2024, that's today, NADMA convened an emergency meeting of the National Oil Spill Committee, a subcommittee of the National Emergency Advisory Council, to brief members as well as to make the necessary preparations should any response become necessary. NADMA continues to monitor the situation carefully and will provide updates as necessary to the public on the true status of the situation and what actions are to be taken. All right, and you see the contact information for NADMA there. My take on this is simply this. It is important that NADMA, not when they feel to, not as they find necessary, but in the context of what is taking place there should be, and yes, it's free advice, they should be giving a daily briefing as to what is taking place there. Because this can have adverse effect, negative effect on our fisher folk, our fishermen who are out there. It can have a negative effect on them. It can have a negative effect on our tourism industry if that oil slick is allowed to get to Grenadian waters. So there is the possibility that if that gets to Grenada, you could imagine oil coming up on our beaches and that sort of thing, and we having to deal with it. So I'm saying, before it gets to that stage, Grenada, at least before, I don't know what is taking place with Grenada's relationship on a diplomatic level with the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. I know that under the last administration, the new National Party administration, Grenada and Venezuela had wonderful ties. Yeah? That is why President Maduro could have come over to Grenada and all of that. So Grenada and Venezuela under the NNP administration had excellent diplomatic ties. And in a situation like this, Grenada would call on President Maduro, and you know we had people that could have called on President Maduro and get what we need to get done immediately. So Grenada in order to ensure that it protect, would I make sure that they call President Maduro, because Venezuela, having the second largest store of oil on the planet, they have the equipment, they have the chemicals that you use to break apart the oil slick and so on. They have the ships to be able to clean up the oil spill and all of that. Venezuela, outside of Trinidad, Venezuela has the capability, and even larger capability than Trinidad, to deal with a situation such as this. Yeah? Trinidad already is tied up trying to clean up the beaches in Tobago. Yeah? They already have their people out there trying to clean up the beaches in Tobago. Meanwhile, here we are sitting, yeah, and you're not hearing that, okay, you're here to contact the Trinidad. Have you all contacted the Venezuelans? This is some free advice to you all. If you all don't know to contact the Venezuelans, speak to the former administration. Yeah? Speak to the members of the New National Party, the former government, and they will give you contact information so that you could speak to the Venezuelans and receive the assistance that we know Venezuela would be willing, ready, and able to offer to the Grenadian people to protect our beaches, to protect our fishery, to protect our shores, our tourism, yeah? Even the storing of boats and all these things, the yachting industry, right, can be seriously impacted by a oil slick getting to Grenadian. It's already in Grenadian waters. So you want to make sure it doesn't get to Grenadian shores as well. So I haven't seen the updated. Anybody get the updated satellite imagery? Make sure you all send it for me, right? But we are saying here that there is a clear and, well, not clear, we see it last night, it's a dark and present danger. A dark and present danger to Grenada. And you need to be more proactive in addressing. We're not saying that you have to hit the panic button, but at least move out of the go slow. Yeah? Because if this thing come, if it is allowed to reach the Grenadian shores, and there are ways to stop it. This is not the first oil spill in history. The fourth largest oil spill in the history of the world took place right there between Tobago and Trinidad. Yeah? Many, many years ago. I think it was about 1978, 1979, somewhere down there. Right? So we need to do what we have to do to protect ourselves. The Trinidadians doing what they have to do to go and clean up. They wasn't able to address it early enough to avoid it damaging the beaches and so in Tobago. So their beaches have been coated with oil. And right now they have teams trying to clean up. It's killed a lot of wildlife and that sort of thing there. So we need to avoid that happening to Grenada. And I'm saying to the government here, please, if you don't know what to, Dr. Keith Mitchell is very easy to find. You don't know how to find Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell? If you don't know how to find him, then I'm sure that you could speak to, for instance, Honorable Peter David. They will tell you how to find the Venezuelans and to get the help. Because I realize you all could not find the Venezuelans for this year's independence ceremonies. Because I can understand, I know Venezuela used to come here. They would send a military contingent. They would usually send over a vessel or something, a military contingent. They would even have skydivers, parachute hunting until one did fall on the late Trevor Twaits because he's trying to take the picture and the parachute come down. The parachuters come down on him. Yeah? So you had all of these, you have all these access. But I realize 50th anniversary of independence, we ain't see them this year. I don't know what's the relation. Like there's a bad relationship. I don't know. I don't know what's the relationship. Yeah? Between this present administration and Venezuela. But I'm saying this is a good time to try and repair your relationship and protect yourself. Yeah? Speak to the Venezuelans. Yeah? The Trinidadians already have their hands full trying to deal with Tobago. So they may be able to assist. But speak to the Venezuelans. I mean, that is only common sense. But then we can't accuse you all of having that. So I'm very sorry. All right? Folks, you all can call at any time, 440. Yeah, we're calling it the Thursday night talks. So you all can call at any point in time, 440. Yeah, so Tuesdays is Talking Tuesdays, right? Thursdays is the Thursday night talks, and Friday nights is the Friday night forum, right? Yeah, we go find a name for Monday and Wednesday just now. 440737. That's the number you can call to get on the inside via WhatsApp or directly. You could also call us on 347-329-3101 if you're out there in the Grenadian diaspora in North America in particular.
I said to give me flowers before I dead.
Let me say a special good night to my good friend Small Axe. Good night, bro. Man, I forget to walk with that thing tonight, and that's when I need itself in a Small Axe. And folks, if you're looking for a good electrician, Small Axe is the man, eh? You're looking for a good joiner, carpenter, etc. And yeah, you could check the historian. Just message me and I'll put you in contact with them, eh? You want some beds and tables, chairs and thing made, and yeah, you can check the historian, the gentleman that calls and gives all the historical information. He bad like that, yeah. Wonder why your place fix it up and think Small Axe is the man, yeah?
Just to name a few. Whether or not you like Dr. Keith Mitchell, he made a great contribution too. So we have to pay tribute to the local heroes we have right here. Give them the
So when it comes to the oil spill, they said they're going to provide updates as necessary. No, you don't provide, because when you're not providing updates on a regular basis, I don't know what it is with this administration that they are afraid to open themselves to questioning, and they are afraid to speak to the Grenadian people. So something like this, you expect that there would be a daily briefing in relation to it. Because in the absence of that, in that vacuum, we have to depend imagine the first time you're hearing about this thing crossing into Grenadian waters was from Trinidad. You had a Trinidad website that was putting out the information, and here in Grenada, like Nadman, we find out last night during talking points too, because to me they wasn't saying anything, and still they still take until this afternoon to put out something in relation to it. Yeah, at the committee meeting, committee meeting was stopped. All you better get on and call the Venezuelans, get in contact with Dr. Mitchell or some former members of parliament, and so they know how to get in contact. Call Dr. Clarice Modescovin. Yeah. She could even speak Spanish, so she could translate for all you. If all you do have somebody, she could talk to them. Yeah? But let me protect myself. We don't want to wake up one morning and find out, because remember, all is the same people, according to Antonito last night. All is the same people who promise a net to keep out the sargassum seaweed, and we're hearing sargassum on the way again. We're hearing that, I think there was something on GBN News tonight about the sargassum. So you realize like sargassum is on the way again. And all is the people that say, it's very easy and all you don't understand what people doing is just to get some massive net and put some net out there and stop the sargassum. Well, we ain't see the net, but we see the sargassum. Alright? So don't do us where you all do us with the sargassum. Where you all say it's just easy to put a net out there and then we end up with it. The whole Grenville, you had a problem out in the waters outside there and so on. No. Don't do us that, right? Don't tell us all your meeting and all kind of thing and then we wake up a morning and find Grenada's beach covered in oil. Find Pandy Beach covered in oil. Yeah? We find True Blue and all these areas covered in oil. Don't do us that, right? Actually do something this time. Nice? We know all you like to talk and thing, but it's not the talking part. It's the actual doing part right now. Yeah? Grenadians ain't on for the talking thing right now. They need it to be done.
Junior Murray and Galbraith, Mr. Killer and Irani, Shama Wells, Smith, Timothy and Twine, and Kitisha, just to name a few.
So as I said, the phone lines are open, 440-7377. That's the number for you to call and get on the inside. You can call us on WhatsApp and directly. And here the WhatsApp, without to wait no long time again. One time.
They deserve before they disappear. Try to do it in advance. If you don't want no guilt on your conscience, after they're dead and gone, what you do as they have no use.
Call you don't know what to do. Just talk to Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. He will give you some directive what to do in a situation like this. Oh no, Dr. Mitchell would have be on the phone with Maduro. My good friend, we need some assistance. We want to make sure that we are protected. Can you send one of your people up by tomorrow morning? You'd see a plane come over, you'd see two people come, they fly over, they check the water, the way the currents are running and so on. They look at the possibility of it coming. and they don't wait until when it nearly reached to Grenada to try and send up some vessels from Venezuela that go take 3 or 4 days when they think taking just 12 hours to reach Grenada. Yeah? You guys saw Dr. Michelle with that deal with thing, but these people, I don't know, I understand what they're doing. But it's not what they're doing, what they're not doing, yeah?
When I finish my little mission here and my father tell me come home, you would not be able to help me there. Because
Also, folks, I have seen I've seen a letter that has been sent out by the Public Workers Union, and it was sent out yesterday, Valentine's Day, so maybe a letter of love. They sent a love letter to government yesterday because it's dated yesterday. You know, back when you're small, you used to write them little love letter and draw a little rose, spray a little perfume and thing on it. Yeah, right, nice, right. So they sent a little love letter over to the government of Grenada. Yeah, so the Public Workers Union. Let's see what the Public Workers Union have to say. Because again, as I said, many of you are not on the mailing list to receive a lot of these things. So that's why we're going to let you know exactly what is happening. So let me just get this here. Nice. Okay. And I'll just read it out for those of you that are online. It speaks to the non-application of wage increases and late payment of wages in sectors of the public service. Dear members, the Grenada Public Workers Union over the past several weeks has gotten information that a number of workers have had various challenges with securing their salaries on time or have not secured lawful increases in their salaries as have been negotiated by the union. The union put together a 4-member fact-finding delegation led by President Brian Grimes to investigate the matter. We met with a 4-member team of technocrats from the Ministry of Finance led by Permanent Secretary Mr. Mike Sylvester. The meeting was useful in regards to understanding the challenges faced by the various ministries in the payment process. The union was told the Ministry of Finance had to wait for the various ministries, example, health, social development, infrastructure, to send the information to post on the online portal for timely payment to public officers. We were told that the main online payment system used is SmartStream, and I've mentioned SmartStream to you on this program before, with some exceptions where manual processing would be the method, based on the category of worker. The intent of the Ministry of Finance is to gradually put all government workers on SmartStream. The union inquired as to why some increases were not applied and some salaries were late, and was told that the finance officers at the various ministries were responsible for posting to the Ministry of Finance portal, and it would be paid as received from the ministry. We then inquired of the implementation of the bi-monthly payments and its effect on the efficiency of salary disbursements. The technocrats from finance assured the union that an assessment would be done soonest at the various ministries to evaluate the cause of bottlenecks, and additional staff and or retraining will be provided as necessary to reduce and eliminate those bottlenecks in the coming weeks. The following issues, among others, were identified by the union. 1. Continuous late payment of salaries for some workers. 2. Non-application of salary increases for 2023 and 2024 for some workers. 3. No retroactive short payment for the 2023 period for some workers. And 4. The 1,000 honorarium to doctors not being applied. These issues the union views as serious, as loan obligations and daily obligations are hinged on timely payment of salaries and application of increases to mitigate against high cost of living. In an effort to assist the Ministry of Finance, we are asking workers who are encountering issues to submit their grievance to the finance officers, and if the problem persists, to contact the union, who will then liaise with the Ministry of Finance to speedily address the problem. The Grenada Public Workers Union is committed to representing your interests and to working with government for continuous win-win outcomes. Now let me say some stuff here, folks. And yes, I did say it's a letter to the government. It's not a letter to the government, but it's a letter by the Public Workers Union to their membership. So the love letter is by the leadership of the Public Workers Union to their members. They're saying here that, for one, for instance, the doctors, we all heard during the budget debate and budget presentation that not only would the $500 honorarium be continued, that $500 additional payment that's being given to the nurses, yes, they had to pay tax on it, but the $500 additional being given to nurses, and additional to that, $1,000 would be given to doctors. From what we have been hearing over the past weeks and what is now being confirmed here by the Public Workers Union, that $1,000, doctors, I don't know if it's all or some, have not been receiving it. Again, another promise that they make, and they did not strategize or did not plan how it is going to be implemented. So you have the situation with the doctors still getting, after they've been promised that they're going to get $1,000 extra, they are not getting it. Yeah, and then you wonder why some of them might say, let me focus on my private business instead of the general hospital. So that you go to the emergency room and sometimes there's no doctor there. Yeah, they have to send and get one from somewhere else to come and bring, or they have to ask somebody to hold on there, that sort of thing. But not only that, while it's not mentioned here, there's also a problem amongst many of the nurses that they are not receiving the $500. There are nurses that have not received it for the year thus far. There are various nurses that are not receiving the $500 honorarium that they were speaking about. So it's not just the doctors. I can confirm for a fact that there are nurses who are not receiving the $500. That's not a out of the way statement, is actually happening. Yeah? And you had some nurses that were receiving it last year that all of a sudden this year stopped receiving it. All sorts of madness going on. They spoke of the non-payment of the retroactive that the workers are due to get, that many workers have not gotten their retroactive payments. You also have the situation where there has been, now you know they're supposed to receive a 4% increase. Many of the workers are telling you that they're getting the same salary they were getting before. The 4% increase has not been applied. And then you had the Minister of Finance, remember, a couple weeks ago, and my good friend who helps me with clips sometime. Give me the clip, if possible, please. I don't have the time to make it myself now. Where the Minister of Finance was on the NDC Heartbeat program. And he was maligning the finance officers in the various ministries as the cause of what is happening. But Mr. Minister, no. The problem comes from the cabinet. You all implemented a policy without thinking. That is the problem. That is what this government continues to do. So they say, well, we're doing bi-monthly payment, and you just go and do bi-monthly payment. So let's say there are 500 workers in a particular ministry. And from ever since, years, decades now, what has been done is that the finance officer prepares the payroll. And when they're preparing the payroll for these people, remember, they have to take things into consideration. It's different for each person, generally. Because each person would not be working for the same amount of money. And then each person may have different payments that has to automatically be made so that that person receives their salary. They may have an automatic payment that goes to Courts Grenada Limited. They may have one that goes to Axel Finance. They may have one that goes to Microfin, or they may have a payment that goes to Grenville Credit Union or Nexa or Arisa or so on. They have these automatic payments that the finance officer has to make sure goes out. They also have to make sure that there's a timeline that these payments have to be stopped, so that those payments will be stopped. So you know you've paid off your loan and you don't want the money to continue going there. So they have to check on a monthly basis to see what's going on. So the finance officers, is not a situation that they just say, well, pay that, pay that, pay that, pay that. They have to be very careful to ensure that people receive their correct payments. Yeah? But there seems to be a problem. I don't know if it's a cash flow problem, because I realize they float some bonds on the market there and they get a lot of money. Yeah, so I don't know if it was a cash flow problem or what, but they're not applying the 4% to many of these workers. Even last year, you have workers who the 4% was not applied to, and then coming into this year, they continue to be in the same situation for some reason. And then they're blaming the people who are the finance officers in the ministry. And they use example, they say, for instance, Ministry of Health, you want to blame the finance officers there when you double the workload. And now, after, because you didn't have the foresight to see that something like this could happen, now they're looking to increase staff. Now you're talking about, well, maybe we need to increase staff, or we need to, now you're looking to see. It was obvious to anybody with common sense, but once again, we can't accuse them of that. Anybody with common sense would know that if you double the workload of the individual, you make it more difficult for them to complete. The 500 people they had to deal with for 1 month, they now have to deal with that same group of people twice per month. They have to deal with the 500 in 2 weeks, in half the amount of time. And then by the time they finish with that, start the process again for the next half month. And that includes all the things I was mentioning that they had to do there. You have to make sure that the NIS, the correct NIS is going on, the NIS payments. And so if they have to pay personal income tax, that is paid. All of these things you have to make sure before you finalize the salary that you send to the bank or the credit union or whatever for a government worker. So it's unfair. It is vile and wicked to try to throw the blame on the finance officers in the ministry, because then what you want? You want the workers to go cussing the people, the finance officer in the ministry, and watching them cross-eye when they go into work, saying that it's you that doing your stupidness, they why I can't get my money. It is not the finance officers. You have put the additional workload on them because you looking to say, yeah, we do bi-monthly and the other side couldn't do it. Listen, you only achieve something when it is successfully implemented. This has not been successfully implemented because all of these issues are coming up. That is why the Public Workers Union have to be speaking about it now. If they had successfully implemented bi-monthly payments, you would not have these things happening. It's all well and good to say, well, we implemented it, but is it working? Yeah? You take some bamboo and some plastic. You take a engine out of a weed whacker and you say you make a plane. You go on the side of the cliff and you say you make a plane. And you push the plane with yourself off the cliff. Did you successfully implement it if you crash? You fly for 2 seconds and bam, you fall and you break your foot. You implement, people will say, yeah, that's the man that built a plane. That man, they start to call it aeronautical engineer. He built a plane out of bamboo, plastic and a weed whacker engine, and he going off a cliff and thing, and he fly for 2 minutes or 2 seconds, and then bam, he hit the bottom. And people say, yeah, that man built a plane. But was it successful? Was he able to fly for an extended period of time and land properly? Was he able to park up the plane and take it and fly again? And it's the same thing with the implementation of this thing. You could go in the budget and you could stand up in front of a crowd and say, oh, all you couldn't implement bi-monthly, but look, we implement bi-monthly. But is it working? Is it running smoothly? Yeah? And that is the main thing with it. So now you have the unions complaining that these things are taking place. And you're hearing from various people within the public service that they have not been receiving the increases that they're supposed to receive. You're also hearing of other problems that are taking place, for instance, within the Ministry of Health. Yes, medication and bandage and thing problems again. That doesn't seem as though the problem ever really went away. But they're having the problems in relation to that once again with bandage and so on. Some people are telling you they're not getting dressing and so when they go to some of the facilities. So it's either that they have and their methodology in getting and restoring and stocking up the other places is not working or needs addressing, or they do have. One or the other. Yeah? So either which way they need to fix that. But then they have another incompetent in the ministry there anyhow. But take out one incompetent and put another. Well, they put two incompetent. Well, no, one specific to mental thing. There's another story for another time. But the bottom line is you all put another incompetent there. Right? And then you have the situation where there's a shortage of nurses. You all are burning out the nurses that are there. And again, remember, I told you all last year that there seems to be some sort of problem between this administration and Cuba as well. I don't know what is the problem when it comes to this administration and their relationship with Cuba. I know under the the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell administrations, there's always been a wonderful relationship with Cuba. So that if you ended up in a situation like this, you could have easily spoken to the Cubans and said, we need 20 nurses or we need 40 nurses or something like that. You may not get the whole 40, you might get 20. You may not get a whole 20, you might get 10. But you would get some that are able to help you within the healthcare system. What is happening now? Most of the Cuban nurses and doctors and so on going back. You have some that they marry and they settle and thing here and different things, so they're staying. But you have many of them that have gone back to Cuba. And you have to ask yourself why. Because under the last administration, things like that were not taking place. And you can't wait, because I heard from one patient at the hospital. And they called me right after it happened because there was somebody on the bed near to them. And the person bawled for hours for a nurse. But there was a shortage of nurses on that particular day. There was a shortage of nurses and the person died. It's not that if the nurse was there, the person would not have died. That can't be ascertained. But the mere fact that the person was there calling for a nurse in their final hours and they weren't able to get one because there was a shortage and they can't say a line. Don't even try that, because Grenadians who go inside there. It's not Ghanaians, and we're coming to Ghana just now. It's not Ghanaians that going there. It's Grenadians. So you had the problem now where there's a shortage of nurses and there seems to be no effective mechanism that they are trying to utilize to get nurses, to get additional nurses, even if you're working on trying to maintain the local nurses that you have now within the system, to keep them here in Grenada and to keep them into the system and upgrade them and so on, even if you're working on that. But while you're working on that you could receive some assistance from a friendly country, namely Cuba, who would be more than willing, I am sure, if all you can ask, talk to Dr. Mitchell again, talk to Dr. Mitchell, talk to the NNP. The NNP know how to talk to Cuba. You understand? It's Dr. Mitchell reopened the door to Cuba for the rest of the Caribbean after 1983, after the US-led invasion, intervention, however you want to call it, in 1983. Every Caribbean country was afraid to have anything to do with Cuba because they was afraid of what the US government would do. It is Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell that went to Cuba, met with Fidel Castro, and reopened the door for not only the rest of the Caribbean, even further afield. It's not my place to say. One of these days when we interview him, we go get him to say. But even further afield, that other countries were able to say, well, if Grenada could go to Cuba, then we could go too. When Dr. Mitchell come back, all regional leaders picking up the phone and calling him, hey, listen, how it was. Within months, all of them start to go. Yeah? When he got to Cuba, Fidel Castro looked at Dr. Mitchell. He said, you are a very brave man. Because everybody afraid to go. And he went. And that opened the door to loads of scholarship and health assistance with healthcare and different things here for Grenada. That opened the door for that. Yeah? So if Honorable Deacon Mitchell does not know how to speak with the Cubans, ask Dr. Mitchell. Yeah? Ask. I am sure that Dr. Mitchell and his team would be willing to assist because it's in the best interest of Grenada. But you all just there. Nurses going, yes, nurses were going before, nurses still going. You give honorarium, nurses still going. Yeah, they are still going. So what are you going to do? Wait until all gone? Wait until some just try to get into the private sector in some private entity and work and so, and leave the public sector? What is the plan? Right? Anyway, 440-7377. That's 440-7377. 7377. That's the number for you to call and get on to the inside of tonight's program. And we say a special good night to my friends out there in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. All recover now? Yeah, I hope all recover and take a special good night to my friends in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. I hope that you all are having a wonderful night tonight. Yeah, I know all recover, man. I'll get over that one. I'll get over that one by now. Also, folks, I keep hearing, and again, let me just pause this in the background here. I keep hearing of that constant problem. Oh, there seems to be a problem with that line. Yeah, I'm hearing of that constant problem of the people who have done work, especially, and for some reason, St. David, it seems to be bad in St. David. Contractors who have done work in St. David and other areas and are unable to receive their salary, unable to receive their payment. I don't know what's the problem. I don't know if they want to go and blame the finance officers in the ministry again, but there is a problem. There are people who've completed jobs since last year. They're expected to get their money today. They didn't see it again. Same problem. So you have that. My friend in St. David, today's the 15th. I hope you get your money. But I've been meeting other people also. The Prime Minister went to the National Stadium. The Prime Minister of Grenada, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, went to the Grenada National Stadium and he met with the traffic wardens. Promised them an increase. He further went to other places. He went to St. Andrew and he also went to St. David. I'm not too sure about St. John and St. Mark, but I know for St. David and St. Andrew that he met with the traffic wardens and he told the wardens, hey, you all are going to receive an increase. Now, I'm surprised to know that some of these wardens, what they're working for is still under the minimum wage. Now, if you say, you the government, and you're saying that the minimum wage is $1,200, that no worker in Grenada, whether in the public or private sector, should be working for under $1,200. Yet still, you have not increased as promised the payments that are being made to the wardens, the traffic wardens we're speaking about here, that you have not increased the payments that you're supposed to make to them. You make the promise to them, you bring them in the National Stadium, you bring them up in Grenville, you bring them in St. David, and you made a promise to them that they would receive an increase. Well, they're waiting still, Jody the do seen it. They're waiting still on the increase. You also had the situation where you have various other people in other categories, for instance, the cooks in the school. Now you're saying that the minimum wage is $1,200. So if you as government cannot across the board ensure that every worker under the government system is up to the minimum wage, what you leave for the private sector? What you leave for some of the small businesses and medium-sized businesses out there? You as government, you put it in place. Nobody can come and tell you. The IMF didn't come and impose that on you. The Caribbean Development Bank didn't say to you that you have to do this and you must do this and you have to increase the minimum wage to that. You took on your own and you decided that you're raising it to that level. Again, I constantly say that outside of that, I thought that the approach would have been to try and reduce the cost of living, so that you take measures that could drive the cost of living down. So even if people continued to work for the same salaries they were working for, that they would have more spending power because the cost of things went down. And the government has the ability to do that. Yeah? But instead of that, the cost of living inflation continues to run away in Grenada. And while that is happening, you saying that you increase the minimum wage to $1,200, yet still the cooks can't get it. The wardens doesn't seem as though they're getting it. And you have various other categories of people in different departments and so that are not receiving it. And then on top of that, you have people under a program being paid by the government, that is under the Imani program, and you have decided to enforce apartheid within the Imani program. So if you are working within the private sector, even though you're receiving a stipend, even though you're receiving a stipend from government, they are not going to assist to get you to the 1,200 minimum wage. They cut out all those trainees, how much 100 of them, we ain't bothering with all your, that is all your business, all you make it all you could. All your the other people who work, have all you with them, they're going to have to increase it to bring all you up to 1,200. We ain't putting another cent. And then those in the public sector now, those who work with government, after you gave all of them 500 across the board, and in this instance, let me say it clear, I'm not blaming the Ministry of Finance. I'm blaming the Prime Minister because he was the one that made the statement. He was the one that made the statement. Yeah? He is the one that made the statement that the increase is going to be $500. He made the statement. So you expect the technocrats that are there within the Ministry of Finance, hearing that, would immediately put what they have to put in place to ensure that the $500 is paid. Now you're telling them that how the $500 only applies to those who are working, one, in the public sector, and two, were being paid $700. Then why make the open statement? What you're trying to excite them so they will come out for the independence celebration? That's what he was doing. Why make the statement? Because that is what they did. They made the open statement that how. In fact, let's play it for you. Yeah, we have it somewhere here. We go play it for you, man. We have it somewhere here. Let me just get it. Because we do have this statement that was made by the Prime Minister in relation to this issue. So let me just get it here. Yeah? So you make the blanket statement in relation to this, and then you want to upset when people call you out in relation to it. And then you want to... Let me just... Oh boy, yeah, I always make that mistake. Let me just make sure I get this muted and that muted. All right, so now I think we have it. We have it, or we need to have it there now. Nice, right. So let's go with it now.
Who is going to give them Imani's $500 increase in the new budget that's coming up?
So again, them Imanis, not those Imanis working in the public sector, not those Imanis that are working in the public sector for $700. Who is going to give those Imanis? He didn't specify which category of them. And you hear the woo and the chairs and all that sort of thing.
Who is going to give them Imani's $500 increase in the new budget that's coming up?
And what makes it more vicious is that when it comes to the other category of people to receive an increase, he was very specific.
Who is going to give people 65 and over and people who are disabled or mentally challenged $200 increase in seed from the new budget?
So he was very clear when it came to the seed, who under the seed? This set of people, that set of people, that set of people, that set of people with the money. It was a blanket statement. It was a blanket statement when it came to the Imani. So now to be telling the Imanis, because I'm seeing them making their statements and so online. I've seen little messages coming in and so, Mr. Scott, what really taking place here? We still don't understand. Yeah? They still don't understand, because then I was even listening to Ron Redhead trying to explain it, and how he's explaining it even gives is even more confusing, because it gives the impression now that what is happening is that the 500 is only going to be given. No other increase is going to be given, but that only a 500 is going to be given to the ones working at 7 and the others are nothing to get. And that is not the case. That is not the case. From what they're saying, they're trying to bring everybody up to 1,200. So in a fortnight, they're supposed to be getting 600. Every Imani trainee that works within the government service. Yeah? That's how I understood from the documentation that was sent around by the Ministry of Youth itself. So the entire thing is confusing. All right? The entire thing is just confusing. But anyway, folks, it is 9 o'clock, 440-7377.
was a time not long ago when it was safe to chastise your government. The opposition leaders shared the respect of the Prime Minister and President.
And you know, folks, I want to play something for you all from the interview that Mr. Ron Redhead did yesterday. I want you all to listen carefully to the question, and I want you all to listen carefully as well to the answer. You know, we like to listen here. Yeah, we like to listen carefully. So I want you all to listen to the question, then I want you all to listen carefully to the answers that are given.
In the Ministry of Sports, let's say under your watch, or if there are any new ones that are going to be under the present one, if you know of any. Let's talk about some of the new programs that were initiated in the Ministry of Sport, where of course youth sports culture that when you were there. Let's talk about some programs, some new programs per se.
Right. Well, government is a continuum, and as I have briefed all the incoming ministers on what was there, etc., it's more of to work on what was there. So, for example, the implementation of the completion of the laying of the tracks, that is going well. The tracks are completed. The individual to mark the track should be.
Okay, let me just warn you all that the stadium tracks is not a new project. That was something that the new National Party administration had been looking at. I know that the board of directors of the Grenada National Stadium were already in discussions in relation to the relaying of the track and so on. So again, he asked what is something new that they did since coming in. There is no one, but let's finish him, yeah.
Soon. We also have the commencement of the construction at the cricket stadium. That is going well as well with sports. I can confidently say to you that the parish councils, in terms of the elections that has to take place at various times, that is going to be announced in time to come. Outside of that, we are getting ready for Carifta. We are going to host here in June. I stand to be corrected. I can't recall if it's June 24th or June 20th. But in June, Grenada would be the host of the regional, or rather Caribbean RADU. That's the anti-doping agency meeting. This is going to be a big thing for us because as we professionalize sports, we are going to see the advent of illegal drugs and our capacity as a country to be able to prevent our athletes from going that route and also being able to identify it needs to be boosted. And so this was something that we arranged, and I'm happy that it's going to happen. The other thing is that we are going to see the implementation of the incentive package. Again, this was done prior, and we're going to see the full implementation of that, where an athlete, if they run or they jump or take part in whatever activity, let's say at Olympics, we are going to know confidently what their incentive package would be if they come first, second, third, etc., fourth, and so on. So we have that coming on stream, and that should be done in soon time. As it relates to youth, let's
just deal with sport first. Nothing he said there was anything new. The refurbishment to the cricket stadium and the athletic stadium and so on. The former board of directors, the former stadium manager could confirm to you that that was way advanced. In fact, there had already been people here from China, yeah, by the time the elections took place. In fact, they are behind as far as I'm concerned because that work should have commenced already and in some instances nearly been complete. So as far as I'm concerned, they are behind in relation to some of that. So in short, he has said basically he did nothing in the Ministry of Sports for the time he has been there, except that they've implemented the National Sports Policy, and we know what the National Sports Policy has inside it, where they're talking about them in charge of the playing fields, and you're not supposed to utilize or enter a playing field without the permission of the Sports Council and all that sort of nonsense. So that they have in that. But outside of that, he's speaking about his parish sports councils. I would have really, I didn't have the opportunity to call live. I would have loved to be able to call the program and to ask him, yeah, which parish sports councils have been formed. Because before you form the National Sports Council, under the National Sports Policy, you have to form the parish sports councils, who are then going to come together to form the National Sports Council. Yeah? So you enacted legislation for a body that really and truly doesn't exist. They have a secretariat, but they really and truly do not exist because they need to be created through the parish sports councils, have to come together and vote the people who are going to be on the National Sports Council. Dine take place. I'd have loved for him to say exactly which parish sports councils have been. Anybody know of a meeting, any one of you, because maybe one of you all was in a meeting and a parish sports council formed. Which parish sports councils have been formed thus far? But outside of that, no achievements, nothing to really talk about. Because the question was basically, since you're coming, what new have you all brought to the table? And that's nothing. Relaying at the sports track, that was organized before. The thing in relation to the price, the costing and that kind of thing, we'll talk about that one at another time. And let's take this call and we'll come back to that conversation. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Who was the one in a meeting that says when a man is feeling good, he says anything?
I think it's the same person.
Okay. I made my case. Have a blessed night.
Right, thank you, sir. Yeah, when a man feeling good, he does say all kind of thing. Yeah, anyhow. He's been graded an F right now for performance as the minister responsibility for sports and so on. Let's hear what he did for youth. Yeah, let me hear what he did for you. So let's hear.
Well, with the National Ambassadors Program, one of the things that we tried to do this time around was to open it up to interest groups and to be able to do an interview process. The problem that we discovered in the past was that when young people were appointed in various things, it was almost handpicked. And if you like somebody GT and you cool with them, you might think that I would just give them that opportunity, but they may not have the capacity to really lead the work.
Is he speaking about people like Joel Greenwich, the same Joel Greenwich does have around them, the Lyman partner? And so because Joel Greenwich was a youth ambassador, so maybe when he's speaking there, I think it's Joel Greenwich he throwing word for. Don't throw word for Joel Greenwich, boy. That's your partner. You can't do them kind of thing. But anyway, let me hear.
And so oftentimes that clouds the judgment and the wrong people would get chosen. No,
I kind of pretty sure it's Joel Greenwich talking about there.
With the Youth Ambassadors program was to have people apply and do the interview sessions. Out of that, your interaction, your engagement, you're going to see who are the people who would really be champions for youth development and so on in their community, villages, etc. And so that program is, I can't recall the date from the top of my head, but that should be successfully launched sometime soon.
Now, I did see something come out recently in relation to the Youth Ambassadors, but let me tell you all, the Youth Ambassadors program, it predated the year 2008. That was a program that has been active. In fact, I remember many of the youth ambassadors were involved in a heads of government meeting. They were providing protocol. In fact, there are still people in protocol now in Grenada that started through youth ambassadors and providing protocol during heads of government meeting. Yeah? So that is not a new program. That is not something new that you come with to say, well, okay, we come and we create a youth ambassadors program and you have something new. Tell us something new that you did.
The other thing, as it relates to culture, is something that...
So wait, you gone off youth already? So what about Project Fly? What about Imani? What about, anyway, let me hear.
Completed. Well, two things, matter of fact. One, it has to do with the cultural policy. And by that, let me raise this issue with the no amplified music. Now, GT, there are two issues to this. One, I think Grenada needs to start appreciating its culture some more, not by words, but by action. National events must not have competing events. What we need to understand is how do we apply that? And so our institutions, once they are guided by policy, would not make the mistake of having to issue approvals and then having to revoke it in the future. So if we have that policy implemented, that is clear. I can tell you that a draft was worked on. At this stage, I cannot comment on the internal affairs to say when it would be released, etc. Again, leave that up to the ministries and various ministers to do. But a draft was completed, and so we do have understanding as a nation. How do we treat with some of these things? So we need that. The second thing that I wanted to see come to fruition was that panorama. Now, my own view was that panorama needed a lift in terms of what would happen. So I was saying, or rather I suggested in my capacity as minister, that it should be pan and cuisine. I was very pleased to see an element of that implemented through the NOC for the independence on the Carriacou. Again, the venue may have been a little small, but if it is done right, you can then draw out more people who might come for the food, and they would get a taste of the pan. That is the point. So I'm saying that there is an incentive that could be derived.
But still trying to hear something new. Okay, right. They had some pan and they had some food and thing for the independence and so. And I'm still trying to figure out, because let me explain this to you. Prior to the NNP leaving office in 2008, we had many programs for young people. We have the flagship, the Imani program. That's what, and I'm speaking here not of 2013 to 2022. I'm speaking here of prior to 2008, when the NNP left office in 2008. We had the Imani program. We had the youth ambassadors. We had the Grenada Youth Enterprise Initiative. That's the program where you had many young men and women who had small businesses, whether it's a village shop, whether it was a barber, whether it was a farmer. We had many farmers under it and so on. Whether it was young people that were doing jewelry and different things that got funding and were monitored and were assisted through the Ministry of Youth. We had that program running. You did a training course, so you came in, you applied, you came in, you did a training course in how to set up, run, manage a small business, manage your finances, all different aspects of running a small business. That was put together, and then these young people and so were funded afterwards to start their own small businesses, right? So all of that existed prior to 2008. You also had the Commonwealth youth programs that we used to work along with. We had things like a youth month, because we started with Youth Week. Remember, you started back in the days, you used to have Youth Week. And then we said, no, you have to expand that, man. Youth Week is too small. You need an entire month for youth. So we had National Youth Awards. We had National Youth Cleanup, where youth competitions where young people would go and they would do a community cleanup. Yeah? Or they would go and fix a house for an elderly person or a disabled person or a single mother or something like that. They would go and help fix the house and things like that. Or that young people would go out in the community and do educational programs with other young people and even elders and so on. That young people would go out and do various projects in their community. In fact, that is how I first got to know the Honorable Kate Skeeter Lewis Peters, because she was one of the people that was in charge of a group up there in St. Andrew that was taking part in this competition on a yearly basis and winning too. So you had some of them that did beach cleanup and beautification and so on. Yeah? You had schools used to be involved in these projects, and so you're seeing any of that happening now? Where's the involvement of young people in national development right now? Because some people just want to meet you and ask you, oh, what you ever do for... What did they ever do? These are things that I was involved in that was led by the Honorable Emlyn Pierre. You had people like Mr. Norman Gilbert. The same gentleman they take out and they put him down, sit down and look at desk in the Ministry of Education right now, wasting his talent. These were the people that was directly involved in creating and putting these things together. And you had an excellent team of people that worked along with developing these programs and implementing these programs. In all, you had somewhere around 24 different programs under the Ministry of Youth. This gentleman can't tell us one that they implement since coming back, outside of the victimization program. outside of the bad talk program about who they go jail. Not one on coming back into office you brought, because they destroyed those programs between 2008 and 2013. The 24 programs we were speaking about, I mentioned there. That on coming back into office in 2013, we had to start from scratch. So in no time flat, you start the Imani program. We know what to do. We got the Imani program running. You start to get training opportunities for young people. You had young people that came in under the Imani program. I remember being at the Grenada Trade Center. The Honorable Emlyn Pierce said, hey, we have an opportunity here for some of you if you want to become nurses. At the break, come to the front and meet with me. And several young ladies got up. And I think one or two young guys who went and they meet with Honorable Emlyn Pierre. Those people are nurses wearing white right now. They start on the Imani program. The problem I always have is that some people don't want to tell you they start off under Imani. But they started off as Imani. Yeah? I know some of them. I know some of them are even not in Grenada right now. I know at least two of them. One of them is in the UK. And I think another one is in the US. That were Imani trainees. And when that opportunity came, that they got up and they went and they speak with Honorable Emlyn Pierre. And they were able to get the training to become full, not nursing assistants, full-time nurses. You even have some who are nursing assistants now too. That came through, once again, the Imani program. So if we, under the New National Party, were able to do that and achieve that, this guy can call one program in 19 months that he was able to implement or come up with, nothing new. Under Senator Nolan Cox and under Honorable Kate Skeeter, Lewis Peters, you had other projects that were implemented. You had Project Fly, fostering level-headed youth, where they worked with these young men and so on from different communities, where they worked with young people from communities that they were given a little bit of trouble in those communities and they were able to get these young men and do training with them and so on. And then afterwards provide them. Up to the months before leaving office, you saw young men being able provided with power washers. So if you wanted your place power wash, you could check one of these guys. They have a power washer. They could go and do the power washing for you. Who wanted to do music and that kind of thing, they got laptop and so they could go and they could put together and they could do the music. You had some got weed eater and so because they say they want to do landscaping. They get shovel, they get boots, they get different things. You see that happening under this administration? They're saying that the administration that they're young and they know about young people and things. Are you seeing those things happening with this group? Are you seeing it? Are they actually doing anything to assist the young people? So you go and you can't even say one program. The most they do is they create a logo for the Ministry of Youth. Outside of victimizing the staff within the ministry, outside of that, the most they have been able to do is create a new logo for the ministry. Yeah? And believe me, they take out Tweedledee, and as far as I'm concerned, they take out Tweedledee and they put Tweedledum, so I don't expect nothing better. Because after what they did to the ministry, after what they did to the Ministry of Health, you take them and you put them in youth now. Well, they finish off health, so you put them to finish off youth now. Yeah? But anyway, folks, 440-7377. 440-7377. There seems to be no plan, no direction, no policy that this is where we want to go. Just change the names of the program. So you go take Imani, you'll keep Imani, but you go change the name. Yeah? You'll keep all those other programs that existed under the former Ministry of Youth. So the Youth Enterprise, just change the name of the Youth Enterprise program. Just change the name. You don't have to go on and create, not just change the name. Yeah? And nobody is saying that you have to fix the wheel if the wheel working properly. The wheel, yeah? You ain't put on the tire last week, it's in puncture and thing, and you want to go and take off the tire this week. We understand that. But in the same context, you are the ones that say that you have bright ideas and who was in the ministry before don't know what they're doing. You were the ones that come and tell the young people that came out and vote for you that you understand them, you know their problems, and you're going to help them solve those problems and address those problems. While under Honorable Emlyn, and I had to continue calling the name Emlyn Pierre. And who vex? I had to call the name. Because when we had problems with young men in this country chopping up each other. And I remember the situation. You had a situation with some guys in Tong. Well, not in Tong, but Carriacou. And some from down Grenada. So the guys from Grenada couldn't come to Tong. If they had to come to Tong and they're passing in a bus, when they reached around the Carriacou, they bend in. Because they don't want nobody see that they're on the bus to try and stop the bus and deal with them. And at the same token, the guys in Carriacou didn't want to go down Grenada. They don't want to go down on Grenada's beach or anything. They don't want to go down there because they're afraid they get into confrontation with the rest of fellas. And either them do them something or the guys do them something. At one side or the other. And you had these conflicts taking place. And you had the badness out of style program that was put in place where you end up going on the blocks. You didn't sit down in an office and say, well, other countries having problem, we go have it too. That is a dunce statement. One of the dunces I ever hear in politics in Grenada. You don't sit down there and say, well, okay, it happened in other countries and it's bound to come here. No, you go forth and you address the problem. So that is why Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell sit down in the office and them guys and them come and sit down in the office with him. The same fellas and them who bad man here and they all kind of thing, all of them come and sit down in the office with him. And he talked with them and they were able to address these issues. We have a caller online. Good night.
Yes, good night. Good night, Brother Sheldon.
Hi, good night.
Brother Sheldon. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good, man. You go right ahead.
Yeah, listen, I'm wondering if these people really come to the authority, come to a conclusion as to what happened to the money, the $10,000. Did they arrive at a conclusion yet? What they did with the money?
We await. We haven't heard anything more in relation to it.
Okay, right. You know, the other thing is that I'm looking at the news this morning. Well, an advertisement with a foreign voice. You know, well, I don't want to. It's no longer called physical planning. It's what? Some nice name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Now they are demolishing. Right, they're about to demolish or maybe start already demolishing those small buildings that business people erect, you know, on the side of the streets and so on.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not a bad idea. I mean, I wish we need to put up nice little buildings and so forth. You know, some of those ugly looking tarpaulins and so on, they need to do something with it. But guess what? The money that the former administration had deposited in the development bank to enhance our young people, our business-like people, the entrepreneurs in the small business venture to take care of the families and so on, and take care of themselves. They had been debarred from those monies, right? And we know that they gave the money to some of the parliamentarians, these current ones, and so on. So the people now are trying to fend for themselves. So I have an advice for these people. What they could do, or what they should have done, is to have a meeting with these small business people, entrepreneurs, and find out from them. They talk about consultation. Consult with them. You know, have a one-on-one, a face-to-face, or a group meeting with them and ask them what would they like them to do for them, because now we want to clean up some of these things on the road, you know, but what would you like us to do? Because these people, you know what they're going to be creating? They're going to be creating more crimes in our country. God forbid. But that's what it's going to head to. You're going to head to more robbery, you know, more kleptomaniac activities and so on. Because people, if they would break down the buildings that they are doing the business with, right? That's going to result in this, more poverty. They're going to be sinking the people deeper into a impoverished life. You know, brother, I wish that the opposition could really reach out and have a meeting with these entrepreneurs, right? And give them hope. We need to give these people hope. You know, if the government wouldn't do it, I believe we could do it. The opposition could do it. So thank you for listening, and have a good night. Enjoy the rest of the program.
Right. Thank you very much. 440-7377. That's 440-7377. And folks, you can call us on the WhatsApp. You can also call us directly, and 347-329-3101. You know what? Let me see if we could hear something there. Yeah, them clips, man, and them walking. Yeah, them clips fellas walking by.
Right. Another thing I wanted to point out, because you'd hear it outside also, is that, oh, well, we didn't get pay on time and there's delays in payment and so on. I'm saying that. From the Ministry of Finance standpoint, we want to encourage the finance officers in the various ministries and departments. Do your work and do it on time. If you know something has to happen, don't wait until the 99th hour and then push the blame on the Ministry of Finance, because we have an obligation to verify the information, make sure it is cross-checked before we can print a check. But if, for example, a staff member has an increase in salary to get, and it's coming from the ministry of, let's say, X or Y, and it gets to the treasury and so on, and that increase is not on top of that and so on, the person may get a short payment. But it's not the Ministry of Finance that pay you short. It's what we get from your ministry and so on, and we verified it. We paid it. So I'm appealing to our finance officers or permanent secretaries, who are the so-called persons that need to make sure they verify that everything that goes from the ministry to the Ministry of Finance is done properly and is without errors. And those persons who are still out there skylarking, I would say, because you need to make sure that you do your work. And if you didn't do your work on time, don't blame the ministry at the end of it, because so many times I've been calling my PS and the accountant general to verify this and verify that. Sometimes it's not really in the treasury as yet.
Yeah, because in December, I know you had issues with some individuals complaining that they did not get their wages on time.
Yes, but just imagine.
You're saying it's simply because officers did not complete their paperwork in time for processing.
Yes, but again, I must say that the stocks of people that is involved, especially, for example, the bushing people, and so, I believe that we have to find a way at addressing that problem, because, I mean, it's just too much people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have little or no time to basically process all the people, some things will fall through the crack. So as we go forward, we have to find a way of digitalizing those things.
Yes, indeed, folks. 440-7377. So you heard the Minister of Finance, they put in all the blame on the poor finance officers in the ministry. Minister, you double the people workload. You double their workload. And then you're blaming them. And then you don't want to take your blame. I not blaming the Ministry of Finance either. I'm with you on that one, and I'm not blaming the PS. You know, I will go down on the PS when it's time to. But I'm not blaming the PS. I'm not blaming the other technocrats within the Ministry of Finance. I'm blaming you and your cabinet. Because you all put together a faulty policy. You all just want to rush to do it, to say it's the same thing as when they were paying the pensions, and they overpaid some people, and then quietly in the background they had to come and tell some people, you need to return X amount because we made a mistake with the calculation and you were overpaid. Yeah? It's the same kind of thing. Look, they're talking about the Imani trainees now, and the Imani trainees that received their stipend today. Yeah? Those that receive it, some get, but those that receive the stipend today. And in between those, some of them still receiving the 500 that they're saying, and those are in the categories of the ones they say should not receive it. We have a caller online. Good night. Hello.
Good night, sir. Good night. I just happen to be listening to your program tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a concerned citizen, and I believe other citizens should be concerned also, I would like to know or ask whoever has the information that where is the report from the CES grant money that was going around, because I know that a lot of people have gotten help, but we'd like to know, like, what is the exact amount, how many people, because we saw some ads where some persons say they got help, but it is nowhere near, it is nowhere near compared to the amount of money that was there for that purpose. So the greater population where I am from would like to know what happened to the CES grant money, and we would like a report as a people, because we as a people, we are under a government that is for the people and by the people. So the people would like to know about the CES grant money. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And very important question. I know that the leader of His Majesty's opposition did pose some questions in relation to CES at in Parliament. If those questions were fully answered, because this administration has a habit of not fully answering your questions when you send them. Yeah? So whether it was who is being hired and all of that sort of thing, or CES program and who's benefited under the CES program and so, they have always sort of ducked out from giving you the full information or the correct information. When I say the correct information, what you asked for is not what they're giving you. Yeah? They're giving you something else that they feel you're supposed to have. So it's not that they're giving you wrong information, but they're not giving you the information you asked for. Yeah? So you went in the supermarket and you asked for Clorox. They went and they bring, where's the other one there? One of the other bleach. They just take any bleach and they bring for you, but not Clorox. So you're asking specifically that you want Matouk's ketchup. But they say, nah, we will give him Libby's instead. Yeah? So whatever it is that you ask, when you're asking questions, they're just giving you what they feel like giving you and not exactly what you asked for. So I know, if I can remember correctly, questions were asked in Parliament in relation to CES program. I cannot remember off the top of my head. I'll check later on. I cannot remember off the top of my head if the questions were answered fully. Yeah? If the questions were answered fully at all. I'll try to get that information for you. But once again, I want you all to hear again the excuses, because remember, as far as we know...
So don't worry your head too much about empty treasury. Empty treasury. We in the NDC, we have the exposure. We have had the exposure. Good? And we know what to do to find money, to look after the needs of our people. And as I have the mic, let me say, as we go around the country and we speak to our people, that's a topic that they always say to us, we go pay salary late and we don't know how to run a country. Tell them that we say we know how to run a country, and tell them that we wouldn't pay salary late. All right? Tell them that affirmatively. We're not going to pay salary late, and we know how to run a country.
Okay, so they're not supposed to be paying salary late, so I don't think we're supposed to be having this discussion.
Another thing I wanted to point out, because you'd hear it outside also, is that, oh, well, we didn't get pay on time and there's delays in payment and so on. I'm saying that. From the Ministry of Finance standpoint, we want to encourage the finance officers in the various ministries and departments. Do your work and do it on time. If you know something has to happen, don't wait until the 99th hour and then push the blame on the Ministry of Finance. Because we have...
But you double their workload and lessen the amount of time that they have to do the same amount of work. You ain't talking about that. But you're talking... Anyway, let me hear him again.
Obligation to verify the information, make sure it is cross-checked before we can print a check. But if, for example, a staff member has an increase in salary to get, and it's coming from the ministry of, let's say, X or Y, and he gets to the treasury and so on, and that increase is not on top of 10 so on, the person may get a short payment. But it's not the Ministry of Finance that pay you short. It's what we get from your ministry and so on, and we verified it. We paid it. So I'm appealing to our finance officers or permanent secretaries who are the so-called...
I'm trying to understand here. If there's an error in what is sent by a ministry and there's a verification process at the Ministry of Finance, then how is the person still being paid short? Because he's saying here, remember what he said here, that if you're supposed to receive an increase and that increase is not included in what is sent from the finance officer at the ministry to the Ministry of Finance, they have a verification process there. So how is the person still being paid short?
increase is not on top of then so on. The person may get a short payment, but it's not the Ministry of Finance that pay you short. It's what we get from your ministry and so on, and we verified it. We paid it.
So you got it from the ministry and you verified it, but did you verify? Anyway, go ahead.
And your ministry and so on, and we verified it. We paid it. So I'm appealing to our finance officers or permanent secretaries who are the so-called persons that need to make sure they verify that everything that goes from the ministry to the Ministry of Finance is done properly and is without errors. And those persons who are still out there skylarking, I would say, because you need to make sure that you do your work. And if you didn't do your work on time, don't blame the ministry at the end of it, because so many times I've been calling my PS and the accountant general to verify this and verify that. Sometimes it's not really in the treasury yet.
Yeah, because in December, I know you had issues with some individuals complaining that they did not get their wages on time.
Yes, but just imagine.
You're saying it's simply because officers did not complete their paperwork in time for processing.
Yes.
But I thought they would not pay late. Where's the problem? I mean, no, they can't be talking about paying people late. That can't be that they're talking about there.
Again, I must say that the stocks of people that is involved, especially, for example, the Bushin people, and so, I believe that we have to find a way at addressing that problem, because, I mean, it's just too much people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have little or no time to basically process all the people, some things will fall through the crack. So as we go forward, we have to find a way of digitalizing those things.
Yes, indeed, folks. 440-7377. That's 440-7377. That's the number for you to ask and get on to the inside. And the thing is, I'm just checking there. Yeah, so the questions in relation to CES were asked and they were not answered fully. Yeah, and some parts of it were not answered at all from what you're picking up there. Yeah, some were not answered fully. Some were not answered at all. They didn't answer it at all in relation to the CES program. So I don't know what other methodology, because they're supposed to respond and answer these questions when they are sent in Parliament, but they were not answered fully. All right. Yes. 440-7377. And let me mention something here to you, because if they want to play politics with this, well, they play politics with it in the correct way. Eh? If they want to play politics with something, let's play politics with it in the correct way. Now, I saw a press release from the government of Grenada in relation to Ghana. Yeah, I saw a press release from them in relation to Ghana. And let me just pull that up here. Again, I keep saying that I'm doing that because I know many of you may not have the opportunity to see these or to hear about them otherwise. Especially those of you who are not on island. So Grenada and Ghana, they signed a memorandum of understanding on cooperation, culture, trade and education. And that was actually signed Independence Day. But for some reason, they take a week before they tell us that they signed that memorandum of understanding. Well, remember, it's the same people who would go and sign a document and tell you they didn't sign it yet. So it's not surprising to us to hear that a week after they sign it, is when they come and tell you that they sign it. Maybe they forget that they did sign it or so, yeah. That has happened with them, eh? They might forget that they signed it. Because remember the Samoa agreement. Right, yeah, so they just forget sometimes. So it's signed Independence Day, but we know hearing about it. Right? So Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell signed 3 memoranda of understanding with President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo. The signing, which took place at the Silver Sands Hotel hours before the military parade at the National Cricket Stadium on Independence Day, signals the two parties' commitment on matters of culture, trade and education between both countries. This will further enhance their existing ties of friendship and cooperation and their commitment to the objectives and principles of the Charter of the United Nations. Noting the importance of culture, education and trade, both Prime Minister Mitchell and President Akufo-Addo believed MOU will serve their common interests. Some of the initiatives may include cultural and educational exchange programs, business and investment forums, and knowledge-sharing platforms within the Afro-Caribbean brand. A visa waiver agreement was also signed, which will exempt citizens of Grenada and Ghana from visa requirements to enter stay in, transit through, and depart. The visa is valid for a period not exceeding 30 days in any 180-day period from the date of first entry. Which kind of confuses me, because if you say there's a visa waiver agreement, in other words, you don't need a visa to go to Ghana, and Ghanaians don't need a visa to come here once they stay in under 1 month. But then they say the visa is valid for it. It should be the visa waiver. But anyway, they're always confusing with their things, especially when AI write it for them. President Nana Akufo-Addo led a high-level delegation, which also included his Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Honorable Shirley Ayoko Boshwe. I take my time to say that one because I don't want to bite my tongue. So Shirley Ayoko Boshwe. The president's visit included his attendance at the joint sitting of Parliament on February 6th and was the guest of honor at Grenada's 50th anniversary of independence celebrations at the National Cricket Stadium. The president's visit marked the first visit by an African president since the 1980s. So, since you all want to play politics with this one, and especially play politics with this one with the final statement here, the president's visit marked the first visit by an African president since the 1980s. I know President Mandela was coming, and then there was the incident where he had to return to South Africa, so Desmond Tutu came. But anyway, Desmond Tutu was an African president, so we understand. All right? Nice. Good. All well and nice. Good. Folks, you all need to know that Ms. Shirley Ayokor Boshwe is seeking to become the next Secretary General of the Commonwealth of Nations. Yeah? She is seeking to become the next president of the Commonwealth of Nations. The present president has spent 2 terms and is unable to return. And as such, Ms. Shirley is trying to become the next Commonwealth General Secretary. Yeah? And let me see. I had a news article on that. Right? Yeah, so let me see. Yeah, so that is one article in relation to that. Right, let me see if I could pull it up for you all to see. Right, and right. So she is attempting to become the next Secretary General of the Commonwealth. Right? In short, what has happened here is that she got the opportunity to come and campaign for the job in Grenada. And that is what it basically was. They used the opportunity of Grenada's independence to come to Grenada and campaign and tie up as much votes as possible. Because remember, most of the countries around us are Commonwealth countries, and they have a vote in relation to who becomes the Commonwealth Secretary General. Yeah, the job that the foreign minister that was just here is seeking to become. She is seeking to become the Secretary General of the Commonwealth of Nations. Nothing is wrong with that, so she come. But don't try to make it look as you all are so powerful and you all have so much influence and people like you all so much and they didn't like the former administration, which is why she come. Look at here, she shaking hand and think. Nice picture. That cameraman bad boy. That Canon EOS. Yeah, that look like a Canon. I'll take that with. Right. So, she came here not because of any love for Grenada. They came here because they were looking for votes to become the Commonwealth Secretary General. Who vex. That is what it was. Because in coming here which votes she would be able to tie up, because she had an opportunity to meet with those people here in Grenada. Grenada, of course, because she's here, and the Prime Minister did state that they will be supporting her bid to become the Secretary General of the Commonwealth of Nations. So that's one vote. St. Vincent's Prime Minister was here, and obviously she would have had the opportunity to meet with him and other Prime Ministers. So we had Honorable Ralph Gonsalves was here, the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, he was here. You had Mr. Roosevelt Skerritt, I believe, was here. You had the Prime Minister of St. Kitts, that's Dr. Drew. he would have been here too. You had Mr. Philip J. Pierre, that is 5 votes already, just by coming in Grenada. You had the foreign minister of Trinidad, that is 6 votes. And you may have had, not prime ministers, but you had the president of Barbados was here. While they are no republic, I think they are still a member of the Commonwealth. So you had the president of Barbados here that they could have talked to try and see how they could, you understand? So they came here to tie up as much votes as possible, because she has been heavily campaigning and she has already tied up as much votes as she can in the African continent, where you have several Commonwealth countries. So it was important for them to use the opportunity here in Grenada to tie up as much votes as possible. So don't come and try to make it look like you all, they so love you all and they have so much influence. It was a business transaction. Yeah? They came here, they had the opportunity so that they would be able to meet with all the other regional leaders that were here, or at least people that have a little influence, or right at the other, they were here. So they were able to meet with them and campaign to them for their vote for the Commonwealth leadership. Yeah, don't try to get the impression that it's like they like all you. Yes, some of us out here know what's going on. All right, nice. 440-7377, folks. Gonna just take about 4 more minutes. As I said, it's Thursday night, and you know I gotta leave early on Thursday night. So yeah, just gonna take a few more minutes, yeah, before we leave. Yeah, so you see, this is for Ghana. Go and make us proud. Yeah, they're saying, yeah, they back Ayokor Boshwe for the Commonwealth job. That is the same lady. And that is the same lady? Yeah, that is the same lady. You understand? So the government, the opposition, everybody back in Ghana to become the Secretary General of the... Let me see if I can increase the size of that a bit there for you all, man. Yeah. No, I think I do it a little too much. Nice, right? So yeah, because she has on her expression of interest and nomination as Ghana's candidate for Secretary General of the Commonwealth. Yeah. So don't get tied up and try to give people all you who want to make it political, and I could have hush and don't say nothing more on it. I talked about it before. We could have hush and don't say nothing more on it. But since all you want to send out release and make it look as though Dr. Mitchell and former Prime Minister Tillman Thomas and former Prime Minister Hubert Blaise, etc., were unable to go and get the thing done. No, yeah, all you try a thing, yeah? All you try a thing. So, it is a case where they came here to campaign. Just admit that. All right? Don't try to give the impression that others were not good enough to get them African leaders to come here. They came here with a specific intention. Good, you get them to sign some memorandum of understanding. All right, sign some memorandum of understanding. Let's see how that develops from there. It's just a memorandum of understanding. Let's see how that develops from there. Folks, that's nearly all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. As I said, I must run out slightly early tonight because, yeah, it's Thursday night, and on Thursday nights, I got to leave just a few minutes early. But before I leave, I just want to say this to you all, folks. Remember to get registered. Yeah? Get registered. Get registered. Get registered. It is important for you all to ensure that you get registered. Yeah? Make sure that you all get registered. Because you may be very surprised that on election day, that you see a lot of faces that you never see before, that you don't know, especially if you're not checking the voters list to make sure those folks are removed. If you are not checking the voters list and you are not making sure that who is on the list is who's supposed to be on the list, and who though they're supposed to be there, that they're not there. If you are not doing that, then you may get a big surprise on election day, whether that is close or whether that is far. You may get a big surprise. Make sure that you check the voters list. Make sure that you get registered. Folks, that's all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. It's been wonderful being here with you. In whatever you say and do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you and not about you. I'm Sheldon Scott. I'm out for tonight. We're back tomorrow night with the Friday Night Forum. It's going to be a nice one. I am out of here.
There was a time not long ago when it was safe to chastise your government. The opposition leader shared the respect of the Prime Minister and President.